I'm Kim, the Abundant Traveler.
Taking a Baltic cruise is a great way to see the highlights of Scandinavia, Russia, and the Baltic states, but you may not want to book every excursion through your cruise line. This week, I'm sharing all of my stops and excursions I booked directly with the tour companies, including Stockholm, Helsinki, Tallinn, and St. Petersburg. I hope this gives you some fun ideas for your next Baltic cruise.
Our first true port of call was where we embarked on the cruise ship in Stockholm, Sweden. Here, I took two separate tours, one of Gamlestan, or the Old Town, and one of the New Town. It was well worth taking both tours. I took them both on the same day, and I learned a lot about the city. If you're headed to Stockholm for the first time, make sure to check out my other video, Tips for Your First Trip to Stockholm. It's a great way to know exactly what to expect and what to see and do. This is Stockholm. Today we're leaving at 5 o'clock after our fire drill, and we are headed into the Baltic Sea for the next eight days. So, cheers, let's go. Our first port of call after leaving Stockholm was Åland. It is a Finnish island with the main city of Mariehamn, and Georgian and I had a private tour with Åland Tours all day long while we were there, and we had a fantastic time with our guide and owner of Åland Tours, Stevie. I enjoyed our last stop the most at this sweet little coffee shop called Stickstugan. Oh goodness, I hope I pronounced that correctly. It was a little way out of town, out of Mariehamn, and they had the most beautiful garden with topiaries, greenhouses, little benches. It was a great place to have a coffee and a cake. While you're spending time in Åland, if you'd like to book a private tour, I have left the link in the description below. And then our next stop was Tallinn, Estonia, where we got to see the Old Town. So off the boat today in Tallinn, Estonia, and what I have chosen to do is one of the free walking tours. I'm about to take a 2-hour tour with Nina, and it actually meets at the information center. And I'm excited to hear a little bit of history about the city of Tallinn. The Old Town of Tallinn is relatively small and easy to get around. It's quite easy to see most of the major sites in an afternoon. But if I were you, I would recommend hanging out a couple of days and enjoying all of the different tours and sites and delicious foods that are available in the city. Because all the cruise ships are here, it is extremely busy, and I would bet that the Old Town in Tallinn will be empty at about 4 o'clock this afternoon when all of the cruise ships leave. There are 3 or 4 ships in today, so maybe if you want to stay a couple of days and check it out, that's great, but if you're on a cruise ship, you just have to deal with all the crowds. So it was a great walking tour with S Adventures, and I am headed back to the cruise ship. If you would like some exclusive content sent directly to your email, make sure to join the tribe in the link below, also in the description. And then we headed over to St. Petersburg, Russia for 2 days. Look, it's a Russian sub right there. Good morning, Russia. I am in St. Petersburg. What I have done, instead of going on one of the ship's excursions where you don't need a visa, I have booked my own excursion through Ludmila. And I booked them through Viator, and I put the link below, and I'm super excited to see St. Petersburg for the next 2 days. So exactly as planned, Ludmila was here, my name was on the sign. I literally crossed this itty bitty plank bridge, and they were waiting for me. It was fantastic. We were well cared for by Anna, who was our tour guide for both days. We saw so many highlights while we were visiting St. Petersburg. We saw St. Isaac's Cathedral. We saw the Church of Spilled Blood. We saw Peterhof. We of course saw the Hermitage, and we even saw the Amber Room. It's official, I made it to the Hermitage Museum. This is a Winter Palace in St. Petersburg, Russia. I thought I'd never make it here. Check this out. Well, good morning on day 2. I am still traveling with Ludmila, and it is another spectacular day in St. Petersburg. I learned yesterday that there are only 60 days of sun, and we've had 2 of them. So we are very, very lucky and very, very grateful that they ordered sun for us today and yesterday. Forgot to mention, one of the highlights is to go ride the subway and see the opulence of the stations throughout St. Petersburg. I'm now in the subway of St. Petersburg, and it is absolutely stunning. It's one of the most popular things to do. This is crazy. This escalator is 6 minutes long from the deepest point of the deepest subway in the world, 108 meters deep.
After taking a couple of rides on the subway, we headed out of the city to visit Peterhof and the Amber Room at Catherine's Palace.
And welcome to Peterhof, the summer residence of Peter the Great. After we left St. Petersburg, Russia, we headed over to Helsinki, Finland. Unfortunately, we were only in Helsinki for about 6 hours, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. In fact, it was my favorite stop, and I can't wait to go back. Good morning, Helsinki, Finland. We have just landed on our Baltic cruise. The weather was ominous and it started raining as soon as we arrived in Helsinki, but luckily the sun came out before we departed at the end of the day. Helsinki is a sweet little town. We're only here about 6 hours, but I have taken a red umbrella free walking tour and it's been great. We saw the Lutheran Cathedral, and now we're at the Russian Orthodox Church. We've had a great tour. It's been a lot of fun. Michael is fantastic. After the tour was over, I headed out on my own adventure to see the Uudi Library. So even if you only have a couple of hours in Helsinki, you definitely have to stop by the Uudi Library. Supposedly the Finns are the most well-read of all European countries, and on the 100th anniversary of the country of Finland, the government gave to the people the Uudi Library. My final stop in Helsinki was at the market hall, where I grabbed a little bit of food before I got back on my cruise ship. So now I'm inside the market hall and I've gotten a little bit of elk and reindeer. I've gotten some hot cured salmon and some olives, and I'm looking forward to trying my lunch before I get back on the boat. And next stop is Denmark. We had hoped to go to Elsinore, that's in Denmark by the way. However, Mother Nature reared her ugly head, and with the currents and the winds, we were not allowed to get into the port. It was just too dangerous. So our final port of call is Copenhagen, Denmark. After we disembarked from the cruise, we spent 2 days in Copenhagen. We took another free walking tour, and I took a fun Airbnb tour called a hygge tour, where I learned all about the Danish custom of hygge and coziness. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below about your favorite port of call on a Baltic cruise. I'm Kim, the Abundant Traveler, and I'll see you on the next adventure or the next cruise. Our first stop is Marieheim. Maybe it's Mariehamn. Maybe it's, I don't know, but it's in, I believe. Time to go. I can't remember the name because it's written in Russian. And what else did I get? Oh, so now, but I really I thought it was pronounced Aland or Aland. They pronounce it as if it's Holland without the O,